favorite actor అదే క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతున్నాం. I think we're both on the same page of like we can't really figure it out because each actor has their own specialness to them. Like one person can dance well, one person cries well, one person fights well.
I agree. You know? One person's really good at comedy. But the other thing is, ఇది వరకు రోజులకి ఇప్పటికీ మనకున్న తేడా ఏంటంటే జస్ట్ మన మెయిన్ స్ట్రీమ్ హీరోస్ కాకుండా ఈ చిన్న సినిమా హీరోలు కూడా భలే చేస్తున్నారు. అండ్ దానికి తోడు ఎస్పెషలీ దే హ్యావ్ సో మచ్ గ్రిప్ ఆన్ నాట్ జస్ట్ యాక్టింగ్, సినిమాటోగ్రఫీలో పట్టు ఉంటుంది, డైలాగ్స్లో పట్టు ఉంటుంది. లైక్ సో దేర్ వే మోర్ లైక్ rounded.
And you know what? I don't even know if I want to call it pedda cinema, chinna cinema. I feel like cinema is cinema.
I will argue though, ఈ చిన్న సినిమాలకి అంత ఛాన్సెస్ ఇవ్వరు. And that's why I call them చిన్న సినిమాలు. Because they don't get the exposure. Exposure-ని బట్టి పెద్ద చిన్న అంటాం.
Fair. I like that word. So I think I'm going to say the same thing about actresses, but I feel like other than a very few number of actresses, they don't really have much of a chance in these movies. They're very much there for like eye candy and like that's it.
Glamour role.
Yeah, that's it.
Or they get like these roles which are, you know, damsels in distress or very vulnerable characters, and then we're told to believe that those are strong female characters, but in reality their character itself is very weak.
Right, exactly. And they don't add much to the plot. In fact, they're probably like outlier to the plot at this point.
Yeah.
Because they don't really make sense.
And actually it's very funny kada ippatiki it's like wow, what a female centric cinema. Hero heroine ki ekku importance ivvanichadu.
Yeah, we're allowing the women to come up, and I'm like, why are we allowing them? Shouldn't they already be coming up?
Exactly.
Without needing a male like presence in order to lift them up. Anyway,
it's not even male presence. It's like without having the actor be like, oh nene edo tyagam chesanu.
Oh yeah, there was a recent film where it felt like he was tyagaming his role, or his you know stature to for this person to come up in a role, and I was like, oh, man, I really respect you, but I really wish you hadn't said that because it just didn't feel right. We are not able to separate the actor from the character.
నువ్వు హెయిర్ కలర్ మార్చావా లేకపోతే నువ్వు హెయిర్ ఇటుకు దుబ్బావా అటుకు దుబ్బావా అని మేము
గడ్డం ఇంత పెంచావా మొత్తం తీసేసావా
2 ఇంచ్ ఉందా బుచ్ పీకేసిన కోడ్లో ఉన్నావా.
Exactly. So it's like, oh my god, new look for so and so, and that's such a big deal, but like it's not him, it's the character. So I want to talk about like the shared experiences that we've had, because we've talked about this a lot like in our parking lot car talks, because this is what we end up doing is we'll just sit in the parking lot of the movie that we just watched and we'll just like talk for hours about like this stuff, like female oriented stuff or like societal issues and things like that, and we're like
just terrible making.
Oh yeah, of the movies. Yeah. I was going outside of that. Like we've talked about like shopping and like India trips and all these things.
Exactly.
So I'm just like, why don't we just share this with people?
Because I'm sure you guys have had like similar experiences too, but you know, giving you guys a piece of our mind.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What is nostalgic about your childhood?
About my childhood. So I moved to the country. I moved to America when I was really young, when I was about 6 years old. So for me, one of the biggest things was the way we kept in touch with our roots was through movies and music. Adi Telugu cinemalu, Telugu paatlu maatrame.
And we're not just talking about like the recent 2000 films too, right? We're talking about like Maya Bazaar, Misamma.
We're talking about those movies, Chanta Baya, Ahana Pellanta, Jandiala movies, Bapu movies, all these movies. And sometimes, you know, when I listen to songs from the 80s and late 70s, it makes me nostalgic because that's what I grew up listening to, because that was my parents' choice of music.
Yeah.
When I listen to Ilayaraja, it makes me feel like my childhood.
Yeah, that's so interesting because technically it was like our parents' childhood, right?
It was, exactly.
So I feel like we lived their childhood through them in a different country, but like that was what we were holding on to. For me, it was actually, so it's on the same note of Telugu movies and music, but there was one very like special instance. Every time we drove somewhere, we still had tapes, like literally cassette tapes of like songs. The one movie that we would listen to, like the song that we would listen to constantly was Indra. And so, but like literally I remember the order. I remember like how long I have to rewind the cassette tape to get to Radhe Govinda. Like,
that is insane.
This is like a very vivid memory, and I just remember driving late at night from some family party function or whatever, listening to Indra songs on the way home, and that would be like my favorite. Like that's what I really remember, especially Indra. So I would go like Music India Online or something.com.
And musicmazza.com.
Yeah, and those places. Raga.com.
Ragalahari.com.
Ragalahari.com. I would just go and like look up songs. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know. That was just so
Niku
fun.
first Uhadalsan cinema enti?
Oh my god. Patala Bhairavi.
Vammo. Appudu puttava?
Seriously, I'm not kidding.
Are you serious?
I feel like I remember watching Patala Bhairavi so many times. And I used to get really scared at that one scene where it's like, whoa. I didn't like weird sounds. When I was a kid, I was so scared of like weird sounds and people. And that sounded, whoa. When he goes into the look, I was just like, so I'd always skip past that part. But the rest of the movie, I loved.
Tatamma nuvena?
That's fine. Ante anandi. I'm like very honored when somebody calls me Amamma, Bama or something.
Avunu naku oka doubt. Niku Telugu ela vachu? Ante inta chakkaga ela vachu?
Bro. Literally, the number of times that this question has been asked, and I just like, I just do, bro. Like, what do you want? Like, okay, so these are some of the answers that I always give, right? One, I've always spoken Telugu in my household. Like, that's all we spoke.
Yeah.
I was constantly surrounded by it because I dance, and the dance that I do is very Telugu based. So that's how I got it. I went to India very frequently, so like I kept having practice. Can I read and write? Like slowly, you know, like very slowly. I've also been to Telugu classes. So your question's not wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've gotten that question so condescendingly almost. And
I'll give you a sample. Neeku inta Telugu ela vachu?
Or I'd be like, ayyo, US ammayi kada neeku Telugu etla vachindi? And it's like, why not? Why shouldn't I get it? You know?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering like where this like stereotype came from that people in US don't speak Telugu, and my mind immediately goes to like movies because they've never portrayed, well, I don't want to say never. Maybe there's people like that out there and I've not met them, but all of the people that I've met actually speak Telugu quite well.
And it's even మాట్లాడకపోయినా like at the end of the day, like they're in touch, they can understand, or like they're in touch with the Telugu culture.
Very in touch with it. Be wary that whatever you see in the movies is like very exaggerated. Like this is not how we live. Trust me.
Yes.
People don't become millionaires overnight. Okay?
Note this point, Your Honor.
చట్టానికి ఎవరికి చుట్టాలు కాదు సార్.
అయితే
having a business and being like successful overnight, and like it doesn't happen. It's so, I mean, ఎవరి కష్టాలు వాళ్ళవి. Like it's just so unreasonable the way that they show it in the movies. So just keep that in mind. So same thing with language. Like why do we speak Telugu is because we speak Telugu. There's no, I don't know what else to explain it as.
And ఇంకొకటి నేను యాడ్ చేస్తాను. There's nothing wrong in having an accent when you speak Telugu. Because ఇప్పుడు మనం in general, lots of people have different kinds of English accents, right? You have American, you have British, you have like Indian, you have all these different
You also
kinds.
have like Southern and like Boston and then like New York.
So
all these different accents.
Yeah, and even within mana Andhra, Telangana కలుపుకుంటేనే మనకి we have different యాసలు, different dialects. So ఇంత ఉన్నప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు అందరి భాష ఒకే రకంగా ఉండదు. మనం what we need to appreciate is the effort. ఇప్పుడు అలా ట్రై చేస్తున్నప్పుడు like మనం ఒక మాట వాళ్ళని అంటే like if you make them feel bad, that's going to make them stop trying, and you don't want that.
There's a lot of people that get discouraged by when you know you say, hey, అదేం అట్లా మాట్లాడుతుంది ముద్దుగా ఇది కష్టంగా మాట్లాడుతుంది అనుకుంటే you're just discouraging the person from actually continuing to try.
భాషను కాపాడదాం.
Jai Hind. Okay. Hey, no, innaga lu le la annavu kada. I have to make a very special comment.
నా కళ్ళల్లో చూసి చెప్పు.
కళ్ళల్లోకి కళ్ళు పెట్టి చూడవెందుకు చెప్పలేని చో కావాలంట. Guys, la and then la. There is a difference. Can we please say that? What happened to people saying that?
పెళ్ళి,
కళ్ళు,
పళ్ళు,
ఈ
మళ్ళీ.
Also, na. Na is not paliking for some people either.
Na, ana.
Okay, I understand that, like, with the accents, we're getting confused. I hear that, and I don't want to discourage, like we said, with people trying to learn. But if people are trying to learn, we also need to make it a fact that there's 2 different letters in the alphabet.
ఇది మన బాధ్యత. It is our responsibility, people.
Maybe that's why we're starting this channel.
I think that's another thing. We have this like shared love for the language.
Yeah.
It goes beyond movies. It goes beyond like anything. It's just a bhasha enta baaguntundi maatladaniki. I feel very like blessed to be able to speak Telugu.
I really am. And you know what? Maybe that's why we connect so much. Because I feel like I can say things. It's such a nice blend, in my opinion, of like Telugu and English, when I can say things like, I will niladesify it, or I will chitakottu it, and like, or you want to throw it? Okay, let me throw it. You know, I feel like I can speak in this Tenglish bhasha, and it just makes me so happy. So I don't know about you, but there were moments in my childhood where I was like bullied for the way that I look, because I wore braids to school. I had a bindi on my, I don't have one now, but like I had a bindi to school, and like, I feel like I was teased, like people would take my braid and just like play horsey with it. So I don't know, like that definitely shaped who I am today, because I feel like at this time, I feel like I'm defending that, because I'm just like, this is who I am. Actually, I don't even need to defend it. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. But at that time, it was really hard.
I think the hardest part for me was I grew up like going to schools where there weren't many Indians, let alone Telugu kids. So I think because of that, for me, like growing up, it wasn't until high school I had friends who spoke the same language as me. Even then, I realized చాలా మంది కన్నా I was more Telugu. So it's like, or like I was more Indian, right?
Same.
But there is that constant battle. I know this is like an over-discussed concept, but there's this constant internal battle of what side do you embrace, right? Indiaలో ఉన్నప్పుడు we're too American. ఇక్కడ ఉన్నప్పుడు మనం టూ ఇండియన్ అనిపిస్తుంది. బట్ ఇవాల్టి రోజు మనం ఆ బ్యాటిల్ చేసి రెండింటిని బ్యాలెన్స్ చేయడం వల్లనే we're able to like fit in this society here.
I feel like I gave up on that balance, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just embraced my Indian side. If I need to be American and I want to be American, I'll be American. But like, I think that's what it means, you know, when we're balancing it, right? Because we just sort of like teeter-totter when it's required. And so
it's like we have multiple identities at times. It's like
Bommarilu, and he's like intlo okalaga undam bayata okalaga verelaga untam kind of a thing.
I don't think it's been too long since I've started to bring the Indian side of me to non-Indian situations.
Oh yeah.
So ante ippudu non-Indian friends edurga oka paata paadam kani mana songs play cheyadam kani I used to be like, oh we'll enjoy cheyaru, but now I'm like, it's not even just about will they enjoy it or not. It's like, I like this, and if you like me as a friend, you're gonna listen to this music the way I listen to non-Indian music.
I used to feel like it was a lot more work to have to try and explain it to someone than be like, here, listen to this, or you know, like let them embrace it, you know. I don't think about that anymore. I'm just like, whatever, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and what makes me happy.
And honestly, I think it's actually really good that we're letting that feeling go, because దీని వల్ల మనం ఇక్కడ మన ఫ్రెండ్స్కి like non-Indian friendsకి like we're able to introduce our culture. And we're actually like, I mean, from what I've seen,
and they're like open to it.
Exactly.
And I didn't recognize that until I even tried to do something like that. So it's like, oh, why did I hold back for so long? I should have just done this. But you know, maybe it was supposed to happen the way that it's happened, because guess what? We wouldn't be sitting here if this didn't happen. The time ante manaku raspettu rata ee ratale. Okay, closing idi ayipoyinda, are we done?
Signing off.
This is Sweeney
And this is Sneha.
But I don't feel like we're signing off though. I feel like we're signing on.
We are signing on.
Do we know what we're signing on for?
We have no idea. We are taking our chances and a leap of faith. SWAHA!